The city skyline sparkled like a sea of diamonds beneath the dark velvet of night. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Toby Ademoye watched the lights blink and pulse across the horizon. A glass of aged Bordeaux in his hand, and silence as his only companion, he sat on a leather armchair in the middle of his penthouse living room, the kind of place that graced architectural magazines. But no design, no view, no luxury could distract him from the hollow ache in his chest. Money can't buy love, he muttered to himself. His voice echoed softly in the vast space. For years, he'd dated models, actresses, entrepreneurs, beautiful women who said all the right things, smiled on cue, laughed on command, but behind their charm was always the same hungry gleam in their eyes. They loved the empire, not the emperor. He took a slow sip of wine, then set the glass down on the marble table. The loneliness, somehow, felt heavier tonight. A buzz startled him. The elevator to his private floor opened with a soft chime, and in walked Chris's childhood friend, now his lawyer, advisor, and occasional therapist. "You look like you just fired your whole board," Chris said, raising a brow as he flopped onto the couch opposite Toby. "Or found out your chef served canned tuna." Toby offered a dry smile. "Worse. I realized I don't trust a single person in my life who wasn't on my payroll." Chris leaned back, arms crossed. "Another date gone wrong. I didn't even go. Cancelled before dessert. She texted me a photo of the yacht she wanted to visit after dinner." Toby's jaw tightened. Not a word about the conversation we never had. Chris stayed quiet for a moment, letting the silence settle. "I've had enough," Toby said. "I want real love. Someone who sees men, not the headlines, not the net worth." Chris chuckled. "If I had $1 for every time you said that." "I'm serious this time," Toby interrupted. "And I have a plan." Chris sat up. "Now I'm listening." Toby's eyes sparked with something Chris hadn't seen in a wildfire. "Opening Starlight Hospital next week. Biggest, most advanced medical facility in the city. Everyone's talking about it." "Yeah, because it cost you a small country," Chris said. "I'm going to work there." Chris blinked. "Sorry, what?" "As a cleaner." Chris laughed, expecting Toby to join in. He didn't. "You're serious?" he said, sitting up straighter. "I'll go by the name James. No one will know me. I want to see how people act when they think you have nothing, how they treat the invisible workers, and maybe I'll find someone who doesn't judge me by a bank statement." Chris whistled. "That's not just a plan, that's a Netflix series." Toby smirked. "Can you make sure all public records say the owner's out of the country?" Chris nodded slowly. "You're insane." "Maybe, but I'd rather be an insane man chasing something real than a billionaire being lied to every day." Chris stood and walked to the window. "You know this could backfire badly, right? One wrong word, one slip, and this whole hospital turns into a circus. I've thought it through. You'll be my point of contact. Quietly handle management. I'll apply like anyone else." Chris exhaled. "All right, I'll help you. But this is next level, even for you." Toby smiled for the first time that evening. "Good. Then let's begin." The hospital opened with grandeur. Red carpets, cameras, city officials. The news called it the dawn of a new healthcare era. And standing quietly at the back of the crowd in a faded uniform, holding a mop bucket, was James. His uniform was too large, the shoes slightly worn, but his posture was straight, and his eyes observant. Chris stood on stage in a navy blue suit, addressing the newly hired staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Starlight Hospital," he said. "The owner is currently out of the country, but trusts that each of you will uphold the standards of excellence this facility stands for." Applause thundered. Around the room, nurses straightened their name tags. Doctors exchanged confident nods. Admins adjusted clipboards, and then there were the cleaners. Quiet, ignored, already forgotten. James stood next to an older man with salt and pepper hair and a face carved by hard years. "New?" the man asked without looking at him. "Yeah," James replied. "First day." "I'm Musa," the man said. "Been mopping floors longer than some of these kids have held syringes. Stick with me, I'll show you which ones are snakes." James smiled. "Thanks." As the crowd dispersed into departments, James moved toward his assigned wing. The halls gleamed, every tile perfect. But what caught his attention wasn't the walls, it was the whispers. A nurse in a tight uniform glanced his way and smirked. "Imagine being a cleaner here. No ambition." Another nodded. "I'd rather be unemployed." He kept walking. He'd expected judgment, but the speed and venom of it still hit hard. Midday came. The cafeteria was buzzing. Cleaners were herded to a small table in the corner, while doctors and nurses took the cushioned seats. No one looked their way except to scoff. James sat beside Musa, quietly eating rice from a plastic tray. Across the room, a man in a lab coat glanced their way and said to his colleague, "They really let anyone in here now." James didn't respond, but inside, something churned. At the end of the shift, James wiped the glass doors at the entrance. Outside, the sun had begun to dip, casting golden hues over the city. But inside, he felt grey. Musa joined him, wiping the other door. "Don't let M get to you," the older man said. James didn't answer at first. "Doesn't it bother you?" he asked finally. "Oh, every damn day," Musa chuckled. "But you can't let rich uniforms rob you of your dignity." James looked at the hallway, where nurses strutted like queens in a palace. "I came here looking for something real," he said softly. "You'll find it," Musa said, "but it won't come wearing lipstick and stilettos." They both laughed quietly, and the sound was more healing than any applause Toby had ever received. That night, back in the small janitor's office, Chris leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "How was your first day as a nobody?" he asked. James removed his cap and wiped his forehead. "Exhausting, infuriating, eye-opening." Chris smiled. "And I think I'm exactly where I need to be." Chris nodded. "Then get some rest. Billionaire, tomorrow, the real work begins." The sun rose over the eastern blocks of the city like an old friend that brought no promises. Lisa adjusted the strap of her worn-out purse and hurried down the narrow sidewalk, dodging vendors and potholes. Her shoes clicked unevenly, one sole thinner than the other, but she didn't stop. She COULDN, single quotes to brown envelope. Inside were her credentials, her nursing certificate, and the last hope she was holding on to like breath underwater. Starlight Hospital, she whispered, looking up at the grand building as it came into view. She paused for just 1 second, long enough to feel small in front of it, then sprinted the last few steps. The reception area gleamed with glass and steel, humming with soft music and cold professionalism. Lisa reached the desk, panting. Her scarf was slipping, her forehead damp. I came for the nursing position," she managed. The receptionist, a woman with crimson lipstick and perfectly shaped brows, looked at the clock on the wall. "Late, the last interview ended 10 minutes ago." Lisa blinked. "Please, I came as fast as I could." "We've already filled the position," the woman replied, turning her attention back to her computer. Lisa stood there, frozen envelope still in hand. She didn't feel the cold air of the lobby. She didn't hear the conversations behind her. She only saw her father's face and her daughter's hungry eyes. "I can't go home like this," she whispered. The receptionist glanced at her again, this time more curious than annoyed. "Excuse me." Lisa lifted her chin. "I'll take anything. I'll clean. I'll mop. Just don't send me home empty-handed." A janitor passing by, the same older man known to most as Muta, paused. His eyes narrowed, recognizing the fire in her tone. The receptionist, clearly surprised, stood and walked away, muttering something about calling admin. Musa approached slowly. "You really want to mop floors in a place like this?" Lisa looked at him, defiant. "I'd rather hold a mop than hold regrets." Musa nodded once. "Then come with me." An hour later, Lisa stood in the small cleaner's locker room, folding her scarf neatly into a bag. Her uniform hung awkwardly on her frame, a size too big, and smelled faintly of bleach. She looked at herself in the cracked mirror. The nurse she once trained to be was gone. In her place stood a mother, a daughter, a fighter in disguise. James Still, wearing the face of a cleaner, spotted her from down the hallway later that afternoon. She was on her knees, scrubbing baseboards with a brush, sweat dotting her brow. But she wasn't grimacing. She wasn't rushing. She moved with a quiet kind of dignity. He paused with his mop and watched. The other nurses strolled by, chatting about shoes, hair appointments, vacation spots. None of them looked her way. Except for Nurse Stella. "Oh, that's the girl who came in crying," Stella whispered to Becky. "Applied for a nurse job. Ended up a cleaner. Tragic." Becky snorted. "She should have just stayed home. Not everyone's made for this place." Lisa heard it all, every syllable. But her hands never stopped scrubbing. James's jaw clenched. Then he turned and quietly began mopping again. That evening, Lisa returned home to a small, crumbling apartment on the edge of the city. Her daughter, Blessing only 5, ran into her arms with a squeal. "Mama, you're home." Lisa hugged her tight. "Yes, baby, Mummy got a job." Her father, seated on a wooden stool, smiled and nodded. "Told you God would make a way." Lisa said nothing, but inside she felt hollow. The job wasn't what she hoped for, but it was hope. The next day, the work began early. Floors, windows, toilets. Lisa did it all without flinching. She sang softly to herself as she worked, a melody her mother once hummed in the kitchen before she passed. James caught her humming in the stairwell, scrubbing the railings. "You have a nice voice," he said. Lisa looked up, startled. "Thank you. You were a nurse before." "I am a nurse," she replied, "just not on paper here." James smiled. "That might change." Lisa gave a tired laugh. "In this place, I doubt it. But I'm inside the door now. That's something." He nodded. "You have a lot of strength." She shrugged. "When you're raising a child alone, strength isn't a choice. It's the air you breathe." It was around noon when the emergency happened. Lisa's phone buzzed as she cleaned near the staff lounge. She checked the screen. Neighbor calling. She picked up quickly. "Hello Lisa, it's Blessing. She's vomiting, burning up. I don't know what to do." Lisa dropped them up. "I'm coming." She rushed to the supervisor. "Please, I need to step out. My daughter's very sick." The woman barely looked up. "Take your lunch break. 30 minutes. Lisa ran. She arrived at the apartment out of breath, heart racing. Blessing was lying on a mat, face flushed, body trembling. Lisa didn't think. She wrapped her daughter in a scarf and sprinted back to the hospital. She arrived, panting, child in her arms. The nurses at the front station looked up. "Vivian, Stella, Becky, please," Lisa begged. "My daughter is sick. She needs help." Vivian blinked slowly. "Where's your payment receipt?" I don't have money now, but I work here. Please, just look at her." Stella snorted. "This is a hospital, not a charity," Becky added. "Take her to a clinic. This place is for patients, not starved children." Lisa stood frozen, Blessing moaning in her arms. Her tears spilled silently. Just then, James and Musa appeared, returning from a shift. Musa's face went red. "Are you people serious?" he barked. "She's a child." James stepped forward. "I'll pay." Vivian crossed her arms. You don't even make enough to buy gloves." At that moment, a calm voice cut through the tension. "What's going on here?" Dr. William, a pediatrician known for keeping his head down, walked over. His eyes fell on the child, then the mother. "She's burning up. Bring her to my office now." Vivian sputtered. "But sir," I said now. Lisa followed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Inside the office, Dr. William worked quickly, giving Blessing fluids and an injection. "She'll be okay," he said, gently. "You brought her just in time," Lisa whispered. "Thank you. I won't forget this." Outside the door, James stood silently, watching, thinking. That night, Lisa sat on the floor of her apartment, cradling Blessing, now sleeping peacefully. She looked out the window at the stars and whispered, "Thank you, God, for one kind heart." Across the city, in a quiet room, James couldn't sleep. He replayed the moment over and over. Lisa begging, nurses laughing, William stepping in. He smiled faintly and said to himself, "She's not just strong, she's fire." The morning sun broke through the hospital's wide windows, filling the white-tiled floors with clean light. Lisa, already in her oversized cleaner uniform, moved swiftly through the corridors, wiping down railings and mopping corners that most others overlooked. Her body ached from yesterday's long hours and the sleepless night with Blessing, who was thankfully recovering. But Lisa's spirit hadn't dimmed. James hadn't shown up to work. For the second day in a row, Musa noticed too. "Strange," he muttered as he dipped a mop into the bucket. "That boy was like clockwork." Lisa bit her lip. "He didn't say anything to you? No call, no word?" "That's not like him." Lisa nodded, unease twisting inside her. James had become more than a co-worker. There was a calmness to him, something solid beneath the quiet eyes. His absence felt wrong. But before they could say more, a scream shattered the morning calm. "Help! Somebody help!" The shout echoed through the hospital lobby. Lisa dropped her mop and bolted at the front entrance. A pregnant woman lay on the floor, writhing in pain, her water broken beneath her. Her husband knelt beside her, panicked and sweating. "She's due today. Please, please help her," he shouted. Nurses Vivian, Stella, and Becky stood a few feet away. watching in confusion and discomfort. "We don't deliver babies in the lobby," Vivian said, arms folded. "She needs to be moved." Becky added, "We can't do anything here. She can't even stand." The husband cried, eyes wide with fear. Lisa pushed through the small crowd, heart racing. She dropped to her knees beside the woman. "She's in active labor," she said quickly. "We don't have time to move her now." Stella scoffed. "And who are you?" "A midwife with a mop." Lisa ignored her. "Someone get gloves, towels, hot water, now." No one moved. The woman let out another agonizing cry. Lisa turned sharply. "Either help me or move aside." The husband looked at her, pleading, "Please, save them." Lisa grabbed a pair of gloves from a nearby tray. No time to overthink. She began guiding the woman's breathing. "Inhale, slowly. Now push." The baby's head was already crowning. Vivian murmured to Stella, "She's insane." But none of them stepped forward. Lisa stayed calm, focused. Her training kicked in, clear as it had been the day she graduated nursing school. "Push again. Almost there. You're doing great." One final scream and then silence. A cry pierced the air, a tiny, urgent sound. The baby was born. Lisa held the newborn carefully, checking vitals, clearing the airway, wrapping the baby in her own apron. The mother sobbed with relief. The husband cried outright, shaking as he kissed Lisa's hand. "You saved her," he whispered. "You saved both of them." That's when Dr. Kuman arrived, eyes scanning the scene. "What the hell, who delivered this child?" he barked. Everyone pointed to Lisa. She stood slowly, cradling the baby. Her face was smudged with sweat, her sleeves damp, but her hands steady. "I did," she said. "You're a nurse?" he asked, frowning. "I trained as one, yes, but I wasn't hired for that here." Dr. Kuman looked around, spotting the frozen nurses. "You three just watched." No answer. His eyes returned to Lisa. "Come with me." In his office, Dr. Kuman paced while Lisa stood quietly. "Baby now in a warming unit. You realize what you did could have gone wrong," he said. "But it didn't." Lisa said nothing. "You stayed calm. You led. You delivered under pressure." Still no reply. He sighed. "We need people like you." "I'm just doing what I was trained to do," she finally said. He studied her face. Not many would have done it. Lisa looked down. She was in pain. "I couldn't stand there and watch." Kuman nodded. "You're wasted in that uniform." By evening, the entire hospital buzzed. The cleaner had delivered a baby. The cleaner was a nurse. The cleaner did what trained staff didn't. At the nurse's station, Vivian scoffed loudly. "Everyone's acting like she invented childbirth. She got lucky," Stella muttered. "That's all." Becky crossed her arms. "Watch. Management will give her a promotion just to look good." They all laughed, but none of them looked each other in the eye. James didn't come the next day either. Lisa noticed immediately. Her worry deepened. After scrubbing a hallway alone, she turned to Musa. "I think I'm going to check on him." Musa blinked. "How?" "I'll ask management. Maybe they know something." Musa nodded. "Go. You're brave. Braver than I've seen in a long time." Lisa knocked softly on the administration door. Chris looked up from behind his desk, surprised to see her. "Can I help you?" Lisa stepped in, hands folded. "Sorry to bother you, sir. I'm here about James." Chris narrowed his eyes slightly. "He hasn't come to work in 3 days," Lisa said. "No word. No one has his number. I don't know if he's sick, but please don't deduct his pay. He's a good man." Chris leaned forward, intrigued. "You care a lot." Lisa looked down. "He helped me when no one else would." Chris nodded slowly. "I'll look into it, thank you." As she left, Chris sat back in his chair, fingers steepled. Then he smiled to himself. Later that evening, Chris stood in the living room of Toby's private estate. "You disappeared," he said, arms crossed. Toby sat on the couch, eyes distant. "I needed to think. You missed quite the scene." Toby glanced up. "What happened?" Chris grinned. "A woman went into labor in the lobby. Nurses stood by, frozen. Lisa took over, delivered the baby like a pro." Toby sat forward, stunned. Double quotes. "Dr. Keeman saw it all," Chris added. "Even he's impressed. People are whispering her name everywhere." Toby stayed silent, processing. "And," Chris continued, "Lisa came to my office today." Toby's heart skipped. "What?" "She was worried about you. Thought you might be sick. Asked me not to deduct your salary." Toby looked away, jaw tight with emotion. Chris smirked. "She said, 'You're a good man.'" Toby closed his eyes for a long second, then stood. It's time, he said. Chris raised a brow. Time. Toby turned toward the window, watching the city lights flicker far below. Time to stop hiding. The bulletin board in the main lobby bore a simple printed notice in bold, black letters. Attention all staff. The owner of Starlight Hospital will be visiting the premises soon. Remain professional. All departments must be in optimal condition. That one message hit like thunder. Nurse Vivian stared at the board, mouth slightly open. The owner? Here, Becky gasped. We haven't even seen him before. Stella clutched her phone. I need new lashes. If he's rich, he has to notice me. Within the hour, uniforms were ironed, hair rebrushed, lipstick reapplied. The nurses suddenly spoke in polished tones. Doctors double-checked their schedules. Even the janitorial crew. Noticed the change nurses who never made eye contact now offered tight smiles. Musa chuckled. Ah, fear is the greatest cleanser. Lisa said nothing. She was too tired for games. Blessing had been up coughing last night again, and her own body felt like it was running on fumes. She just wanted to finish her shift in peace. 2 days later, the hospital lobby was pristine. Even the scent of antiseptic had a strategic pleasantness to it. A nervous buzz floated through the air. Then, the elevator. D-I-N-G-E-D. The doors slid open. A tall man stepped out, dressed in an impeccably tailored black suit. His presence was quiet, but undeniable. Dark sunglasses covered his eyes. Beside him stood Chris, dressed in a charcoal grey blazer, smiling like he knew something no one else did. Good morning, Chris said. This is Mr. Toby Ademoye, owner of Starlight Hospital. Mouths dropped. Nurse Vivian stumbled a step back. Becky blinked fast. Wait, that's James. No, Stella whispered. No, it can't be. Toby removed his sunglasses. Every doubt vanished. It was James, the man who had mopped floors, cleaned toilets, carried garbage bags, now stood tall as the billionaire behind it all. Musa dropped the mop in his hands. His jaw shook. You're the owner. Toby turned to him and smiled gently. Thank you for being real, Musa. The hallway buzzed with murmurs, but he kept walking, calm, deliberate. A storm of emotions followed in his footsteps. In a quiet hallway near the side wing, Lisa was wiping a window. She turned when she heard her name. Lisa. She turned and froze. Standing before her was James, except not James. Toby, in a suit, confident, controlled, but somehow, still him. Her mouth parted, but no words came. I wanted to tell you sooner, Toby said quietly, but I had to be sure. Lisa took a step back. So everything was fake. No, he said firmly, nothing was fake. The work I did was real. What I felt with you was real. You lied to me, she said, voice trembling. You watched me suffer, watched my daughter get rejected, and you said nothing. I had to know how people truly behaved when power wasn't watching, he explained. And I saw the truth. You were the truth. Lisa looked away, shaking her head. You sat beside me, ate my food, let me cry in front of you, and you were testing me. I wasn't testing you, Toby whispered. I was learning from you. Lisa's eyes shimmered. I don't even know who you are. I'm still me, he said. The same man who respected your strength, your courage. She stepped back, tears falling now. Then why do I feel so betrayed? He didn't stop her this time, didn't beg, he just stood there, silent, as she turned and walked away. The sound of her footsteps echoed down the empty hallway. An hour later, the staff were called to the central hall. Every department, every level, even the kitchen workers stood shoulder to shoulder with admin staff and janitors. Toby stood at the front of the room, eyes scanning the sea of nervous faces. This hospital was built with a purpose. He began to heal, to serve, to save lives, regardless of who they belonged to. His voice carried weight, but no anger. But over the past weeks, I saw another side. I walked these halls as one of you. As a cleaner, I saw laughter at suffering. I saw arrogance in white coats. I saw pride replace compassion. He paused, and yet, I also saw courage, kindness, humility. Heads turned. Nurse Vivian, he said, voice colder now. A child was brought to you, and you turned her away because her mother had no money. Vivian dropped her head. Her lips quivered, but she said nothing. Nurse Stella, Nurse Becky, you mocked staff, belittled cleaners, and treated this hospital like a fashion runway. They both looked like ghosts, drained of blood and pride. This will not be tolerated anymore. The room held its breath. But, Toby continued, his tone softening, there were those who reminded me why this hospital was built in the first place. He turned toward a doctor near the side. Dr. William, you treated a child without hesitation. You acted when others froze. From this day forward, you were promoted to senior pediatric consultant. Applause broke out. William bowed his head humbly. Dr. Kuman, Toby said, looking at another corner, you recognized true talent. You stepped in when no one else would. You'll now lead the emergency unit. More applause. Then Toby turned to the front row of cleaners. Musa, the older man straightened, blinking hard. You reminded me what loyalty looks like, what integrity sounds like. You are hereby promoted to staff welfare supervisor. No more mops, you've served enough. Tears rolled freely down Musa's cheeks. The hall burst into cheers, and finally, Toby's voice softened. Lisa, the applause died down. Everyone looked around. She wasn't there. Toby looked to the spot where she often stood. During briefings, she came here as a nurse, but when that door closed, she took a mop and still chose to serve. When a mother screamed for help, she answered. She delivered a child while others watched. She risked being mocked, but she never lost her compassion. He paused, breath catching slightly. She is the new head nurse of Starlight Hospital. The room erupted, but the spotlight stayed empty. Outside, in a quiet part of the city, Lisa sat alone on a park bench, watching Blessing play with leaves under a tree. Her father sat nearby, silently reading the newspaper. Lisa, he said after a while, why aren't you smiling today? She didn't answer. He lowered the paper, his eyes gentle. Did something happen at the hospital? She hesitated. The owner came back. Oh, she nodded. It was James. Her father blinked. James, the cleaner. Lisa looked down. He's not a cleaner. He's the owner, a billionaire. He was undercover. Her father didn't speak. I feel like a fool, she said quietly. I opened my life to him, let him into our home, and the whole time, her father reached over and took her hand, and the whole time he stood by you, he said gently. When your daughter was sick, when others laughed, he stayed. That counts for something. Lisa stayed silent. The wind rustled the trees softly back in the hospital. Toby stood alone at the window of his office, staring out. He had revealed the truth, righted the wrongs, rewarded the good, but the one person he wanted to hear him was gone. Chris walked in, holding 2 glasses. Nice speech, he said. Toby took one, said nothing. She come around, Chris added. I'm not sure. She cares deeply. That kind of heart just needs time. Toby nodded slowly, gaze distant. Time, he echoed. It's all I can give her now. The morning light spilled through the thin curtains of Lisa's small bedroom. It danced across the wall, warming the space that had known both sorrow and resilience. On the mattress laid close to the floor, Blessing stirred gently, still asleep. Her tiny hand rested against Lisa's side. Lisa sat upright, her back to the wall, staring blankly ahead. She hadn't returned to the hospital, not since that day, not since the world turned upside down. James, she whispered aloud. Her throat tightened. Notably, the name still tasted unfamiliar, rich, distant. In one moment, she had gone from opening her heart to a man she believed she understood, to realizing he had been wearing a mask the entire time. But was it truly a mask? He had helped her, stood beside her, protected her, and yet he'd hidden everything. A soft knock came at the door. Her father entered, holding a steaming cup of tea. You haven't eaten? Lisa smiled faintly. Thanks, Papa. He sat beside her, watching her quietly. I heard something, he said. The nurses at the corner pharmacy were talking about a cleaner who became head nurse. Lisa looked down. I suppose that's you. She gave a soft laugh, eyes stinging. I didn't even hear it myself. I wasn't there. Well, he said, whether you were there or not, the world noticed. Lisa took the cup in her hands but didn't sip. Do you think I was wrong to walk away? Her father shook his head. I think you walked because you were hurt, not because you didn't care. He paused. But sometimes pain comes with truth, and when someone shows you their heart after showing you their mistakes, maybe that's the part that matters most. Before Lisa could answer, a commotion erupted outside. She peeked through the window. A sleek white SUV had parked just outside their compound. Her breath caught. The back door opened. Toby stepped out. No suit, no sunglasses, just a man, in a simple shirt and jeans, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. Lisa stood frozen as he approached, Another knock, softer. This time she opened the door. Toby stood there, looking unsure for the first time in weeks. "Hi," he said. "Hi. I didn't come with a speech or cameras, just the truth." Lisa stayed silent. "I lied about who I was, but I never lied about what I felt. You showed me the kind of person I want to be, the kind of love I didn't think existed. I'm sorry I hurt you, but I'm not sorry I met you." She blinked, her eyes stinging again. He stepped forward, holding out the flowers. "These are for Blessing. She's the one who made me laugh when I needed it most." Lisa took them gently, tears running now. "I missed you," she said softly. He smiled. "I missed you." They stood in silence for a beat. Then she stepped forward and hugged him gently, fully. "I forgive you," she whispered. Back at Starlight Hospital, things began to shift. Lisa returned, not in a cleaner uniform, but in the white and blue attire of a senior nurse. Heads turned, whispers followed. Some avoided her gaze, some offered awkward smiles, but she held her head high. Vivian approached her one day near the nurse's station. "Lisa," she said quietly, "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. We were wrong. I was wrong." Lisa looked at her and nodded once. "Let's build something better." Vivian's shoulders sagged with relief. From that day forward, Lisa didn't speak much about the past. She led by example, with precision, with heart, with a vision few had seen in the halls before. A month later, the hospital's grand atrium was filled with staff and media for a special announcement. Cameras flashed. The marble floors glistened. Rumors buzzed through the air. Toby stood on stage, microphone in hand. "Today isn't about me," he said. "It's about the future. A future built on integrity, respect, and purpose." He looked at the crowd. "Starlight Hospital will continue to evolve. We will not just heal bodies, we'll honor humanity." He paused, then turned slightly. "Lisa, can you join me up here?" Lisa stepped forward from the side, dressed in a white blazer, her badge now reading head nurse. The applause was deafening, but Toby wasn't done. He turned to her, holding a small velvet box. "Lisa," he said, voice unshaken, "I came to this hospital looking for answers, but I found something better. I found you." He opened the box inside, a delicate diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" The crowd gasped. Phones rose into the air. Lisa's hand went to her mouth, eyes wide. Then she laughed a beautiful, surprised laugh. "Yes," she said, her voice cracking. "Yes, Toby, I will." The room exploded in cheers. Musa, watching from the back, wiped his eyes. Chris whistled and clapped the loudest. Dr. Williams smiled, as calm and proud as ever. Weeks later, Lisa stood behind the podium in the same atrium, not as a guest, but as the new director of Starlight Hospital. She looked out at the crowd of staff, nurses, doctors, technicians, cleaners. "All of us wear different uniforms," she said, "but we serve one mission: compassion." Her voice was strong, unwavering. "No more status games, no more pride masks. If you disrespect a patient or a colleague, you will no longer work here. We don't crush hearts, we help them heal." The staff applauded, not out of fear, but respect, and behind her, Toby stood silently, his hand resting proudly on her shoulder. That night, Lisa sat on the hospital rooftop, watching the stars. Toby joined her, setting down 2 cups of hot cocoa. "It's beautiful up here," she said. He nodded. "So are you?" She leaned into him. "I used to think I just wanted a job," she said, "but what I really wanted was a place, a voice, a reason. And now," he asked. She smiled. "Now I have all 3, and love too." He took her hand. She looked up at the sky again, her heart full. For the first time in her life, Lisa wasn't surviving, she was living. If you watched until the end, comment the word respect, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends and family.